Hello everyone, it's Mr. Wolfe here. In this video, I'm going to be introducing constructing data tables electronically, in this case using Google Sheets. And the example I want to use is an example data table from an experiment we ran on those jumping beans that just seem to be jumping on their own. And we were trying different things to see, hey, what actually causes these beans to jump? And one thought was maybe it's light, right? If we shine light on the beans, maybe they'll jump more. So here's a data table, the effect of light on beans jumping. And if you were making your data table electronically, you could draw out your data table kind of like this, or you could just start just making your data table on Google Sheets. It really just depends on what you're comfortable with at a certain point. But let's use this as our template right here. So this is the data table we're going to create using Google Sheets. So anytime I'm making a data table, I know that I'm going to have a title. So I'm going to just write title here, knowing that these rows are going to be reserved for the title. So then I'm going to go down to here, and this would be my independent. I know I'm going to have an independent variable column. No, I'm going to have a dependent variable column. And then I'm not collecting just one set of numbers. There's multiple trials in this data table. So underneath dependent variable, I'm going to write trial 1, trial 2, trial 3. And I can keep on going, but for this data table, it's just average. All right. Now notice that here's the dependent variable, but this applies to not just trial 1, but trial 2, trial 3, and the average. But it seems like it's only matched up with trial 1 right here. So what we want to do is merge all these cells right here, so they all have to do with this dependent variable. So I'm going to highlight these cells. I'm going to click on these 3 dots right here for more. And I'm going to click on Merge Cells. It's the 2 arrows going towards each other, like that. All right, so now that merges these cells right here. Now visually, though, it still almost looks like it's just over trial 1. So I like to do this in general. I'm just going to highlight everything and then click on Center. So everything in my data table is centered. Just kind of makes it look a little bit more nice. So here we have our dependent variable. Let's actually specify what that is. All right, in this case, it is the number of jumps in 20 seconds. All right. Great. So now let's go to our independent variable. All right. My independent variables were light. So I'm not going to write light here, because if I did, I wouldn't be able to put a number in here. So I'm going to actually go down one more to row 4 and click on light. Technically, there's a 60-watt light bulb, so I might put that there as well. And then dark was the other condition. That was our control group. All right. You don't have to necessarily put control, but it just gives us a little bit more information. Now, something else you can do just to kind of make it easier to work with is I could expand or make this row larger. All right. I'm just clicking on the row right here. You'll see it kind of highlights blue, and then I just drag down, and it just gives me a little bit more space for these 8 rows. All right. Now, another thing, the next thing I want to do is, okay, we have light, dark, and we categorize that as, for our independent variable, we could say that those 2 things are related to the environment that the beans are in. Now, notice that there's 2 cells right here, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if you left it like this, but to make it look nice, let's highlight these 2 cells and then click on Merge. All right. All right. So let's see, what else? Now we have our title right here, so I need to add the title in, but if I put in the effect of light on jumping beans, you'll see that it just doesn't work out super well. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click on everything here, and just like we did before, highlight the top rows. I'm going to click Merge again, those 2 arrows pointing towards each other. All right, that gives me a little bit more space. So the effect of light on beans jumping. And I could drag this down a little bit here, again, just to give me some space. All right. I also might bold this. All right. Again, I don't have to, just more about visually appealing. And overall, this is a good data table, but I'm going to show you some other things that could help us with our data collection and just to make it more just visually easier to work with. So in terms of visually easier to work with, you could see the faint gray lines right here, but I can make them stand out more by highlighting the cells that I want to have darker lines. So I'm highlighting everything right here, and then I'm going to click on the 4 squares right here called borders. All right, and then I'm going to click again on the four squares where it says all borders, and now we come up with, it's just a lot easier to see the different cells. All right, and again, like I said, this is a great data table as is. I could put in my numbers. Let's say they just happen to be, let's do 5, 6, and 7. All right, and if I wanted to take the average of these numbers, all right, I would add them up. All right, and then divide by how many numbers there are. So if you add 5, 6, and 7 together, you get 18. You divide that by how many numbers there are, 3, we get an average of 6. All right. Now, the nice thing about putting a data table in Google Sheets is you don't necessarily have to do that math. All right, we could write a function or an algorithm in this program that automatically calculates it for us. So that's what I'm going to show here. All right, just going to get rid of those numbers I put in. So I'm going to go to this column right here. And I'm going to click on equal. All right, that's telling me that I'm going to start to write a function for this program. And then I'm just going to start to type in average. All right, and you'll notice that I have a bunch of things come up, but average is the top one, so I'm just going to click on it. And so now there's a parentheses, and it's saying, okay, what do you want to take the average of? So I could type in here B4, C4, and D4, but instead of taking the time to do that, I could literally just click on those cells that I want to take the average of. All right, and then that's it. All right, I just press, I guess I could close my parentheses, all right, and press enter, and then boom, I'm done. Now it looks like nothing really happened, but that's because I just don't have any numbers yet. So for instance, let's put in those same exact numbers we had before. 5, 6, 7. Notice that it automatically calculates that average, right? If I put in a higher number right here, it'll give me a higher average. All right? Now we could do the exact same thing for the next row, but to save you some time, what you could do is if you click here on the cell that we just wrote that function for, go down here, and it's going to turn from either like an arrow to almost like a crosshairs right here. I could click on this and drag it down to the next row. All right. What that does, all right, is it copies the equation that I set up over here, but but it also applies it not to these rows, but these rows right here. So this is what I mean. By doing that, and again, I'll do that one more time. I'm going to click here where there's the crosshairs, drag it down. All right. Now, it'll allow me to take the average of this row right here. So let's just say I happen to put in 2, 3, 4. It automatically calculates that average as well. All right. And I could get rid of these numbers again because maybe I just haven't collected my data yet. All right. And you'll see this right here. That's fine until you collect your data. All right. But the nice thing about using a using a data table like this is it's helpful for making a graph eventually, but then it also allows you to quickly calculate averages instead of having to do that by hand. Thanks for watching, everyone.